Hey, travelers, how are you? Nitzan Mosery here, the traveling investor, and we've got another great show this week. The Traveling Investor on W4CY Radio, and I'm here in my office in my studio, and I have an incredible woman sitting here, Felice Minkin. Hi, Felice.
Hi there.
How are you?
I'm doing well.
And Felice and I have just been sitting around for the last 10, 15 minutes talking. Felice works with people on mindset, on how to take yourselves to the next level. Now, travelers, if you've been listening to my show for the last 2.5 years, I focus a lot about mindset, because it's all about what you think. It's all about how you think. It's all about all those little tiny things, those conversations that go on in your head when you're by yourself or when you're with people, about yourself, about what's going on, about certain situations, about your future, about your life. All that, these conversations that we have inside our heads, these conversations could either help us or destroy us. And it's all about the tone and the language and what we say. And a lot of times, we probably don't even realize what we're saying to ourselves, right? It's subconscious. And I can tell you, before I let you talk, because you got a lot to say, this past week I was doing a juice detox. I was drinking about 3 to 5 jugs of juice that I made at home every night, fresh juice, and I would just drink them for 5 days. And I got to tell you, the habits that I saw, that I have around food and eating, were incredible. Incredible. Just the strange little tiny unconscious habits. I counted how many times I went to the refrigerator in 1 hour.
Yep.
Not because I was hungry, just because it was a habit. Because of maybe a mind talk that I had with myself a long time ago, how I perceive food, what food does for me, the emotional attachments, all these things. And I got to tell you, it was mind-opening. It really was a big wow, because this is something that you see in real life happening. So so then the question now comes to my mind is, what do I do about it? How do I go about and shift it, right? It's all about knowing first, right? So this was kind of my thoughts. And then, when I knew that Felice was going to be on the show, I said, this is great, because, we're going to dive into exactly where we get our mindset from, where these thoughts come into place. What can we do to first become aware of the thoughts, right?
Yeah.
Because we got to become aware, right?
Become aware and without judging them.
And without judging them.
That's the key.
Right? When we start judging, that's when we fall in the hole.
We shut off all creativity. We shut off all connection to creating anything new.
That's it. So then we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to talk about, okay, once we've identified them, once we know, once we haven't judged them, and we've done all that, how do we go about and changing them? What kind of tools are there out there for people like us, for people like you, anybody from anywhere, any language, job, background, doesn't matter where you come from. These tools work for everybody. Am I right?
Yes.
Right? So
yes.
you Felice, you're a certified integrative nutrition, health and wellness coach.
Yes, I am.
You're a certified yoga instructor. You're a meditation teacher, and you're also a Reiki instructor.
Yes.
And before the show, we were talking about, I'm also a Reiki master.
Yes.
I studied naturopathic medicine. I've done shiatsu, 3 years of studies of shiatsu, reflexology, herbs, acupuncture, Chinese nutrition, as well as Western nutrition as well. So I'm there when it comes to mindset and holistic body work, right?
Yes.
Because it's not just about the mind.
No.
It's about what we eat.
Yes.
About the physical.
Yes. It's all connected. And the one thing I've learned is that you really can't have it. You cannot fully heal without healing the mindset.
That's right.
I think for me, I thought that I was thinking well, and I was doing everything right, doing all the doings.
Right.
The exercise, the eating well, the speaking to people, opening up. But I noticed that there was still some quiet chatter that, still pervasive, some old stuff. A lot of times we get taught some old messages Our parents did the best they could
Absolutely.
with what they had, but parents a lot of times are unhealed too.
Mm-hmm.
So they come in and they have children and they raise us to the best of their abilities, and certain things get stuck in our limbic part of our brains.
Oh, I know. I screwed up my daughters very well. They got no problems. Whatever therapist they're going to go to, they're going to have, they'll put their kids through college. I'm sure about that.
Oh my God.
But we do the best that we can with what we have, right?
That's right.
As long as we're aware, and my daughters and I, we have this policy that no matter what happens, we always love each other. We always apologize, and we move forward, because you got to be able to talk things out and have that right connection, right?
That's so important. Apologizing is really important.
Mm-hmm.
As a parent, I actually did not have kids, but I was the oldest of 4 kids.
Oh, wow.
And my father had some extra kids. I took care of them, and I have my little bit of experience there, and I have 8 nephews and 2 nieces. So yeah, there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on.
And it's important. Everything you say is important, and what you do is even more important, because they learn more from what you do.
Oh, I know.
But I talk to my sisters, and sometimes they fly off the handle. Oh, so I just said that on the radio. But
Shh, don't tell them.
Don't tell them. But yeah, they apologize. And I think it's a great way to show your children that you're human, and
Absolutely.
that you don't have to be perfect, but you do get to come back and communicate.
Right.
And this way, then when they're imperfect in whatever relationships they're in, they have the courage to take ownership and apologize, and also let themselves be okay that you don't have to be perfect.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. I totally agree with the apologizing. It's so easy. And it clears a lot of things up. I mean, obviously you get wounded by what happened, but when someone sincerely apologizes, like you said, it shows that you're human. Yeah. It shows that, I have big enough shoulders that I can take responsibility, that I screwed up. I made a mistake. I'm apologizing for it. Let's move on and make it better now, right? And you teach your kids that as well, and they do that in their adult life and so forth. So let's talk. So what were you doing before you became this, sunshine light of positivity and mindset, and sharing, helping the universe, and wanting to, in the Jewish tradition we have this thing called tikkun olam. Okay. It means going out and repairing the world. So every Jew, every person has a responsibility to go out and to repair the world. So
I like that.
What were you doing before you went out on the journey to repair the world?
Career-wise,
sure.
Or well, I actually went into graphic design. So I was in graphic design for about 20 years. And but at the same time, before that, what actually brought me into health and wellness was my own path to heal myself. Mm-hmm. I was brought up in an intense household. There was to be candid, there was verbal abuse, and so I was a sensitive person. Mm-hmm. And so I ended up with tummy issues very early on, because I kept to myself.
Right.
And so I started learning. This was before internet, and so I would read books, sure. magazines, articles that were coming out about ways to eat to heal your body and
right.
feel better. And of course, I would read things about mindset. As a young age, I didn't officially meditate, but as I recently remembered, I used to tell my sisters I'm going to go into a staring trance, and I would just sit and go out. So I think I was meditating before I knew that I was.
Absolutely.
And but even when I was in corporate world and doing design, I was always into health and wellness. Exercising was very important to me, getting a lot of vegetables in, and just eating for health and wellness. So I was the one, I'm petite, but I always had the largest lunch bag, and people would be like, why do you, like, that bag is bigger than you? But people were interested, and they would it used to bother me because I'm private, but then I was like, all right, well, let's share what I do. And so people would look in my bag, and they would see all my interesting combinations and foods that I would bring, so I had enough food for the entire day. Typically, I'd go to work and then go work out, so I was there a long time. And so eventually one of my friends said to me, "Why are you not doing this for a living?" And I was like, for me,
right.
It was one of those things that it was just my way of being well. And staying well from the inside out. And anyway, I ended up going back to school and studying at night on the weekends, and I got my certificate in New York to be a health coach, and that's how that started.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what was your mindset like when you were working a job, and then, people are saying, hey, you should do this instead? Where were you, up here?
I had already been studying mindset for a number of years. Before that, I learned about the law of attraction and what you focus on grows. And prior to that, I had been in therapy, so I was pretty self-aware at a very, very young age, which helped me stay okay throughout all the stuff that I had gone through. And when I was doing corporate design, a really nice way to get into the groove and get a lot of work done is put on a headset and either listen to music or podcasts or whatever shows. So I got really into listening to very uplifting mindset experts like Wayne Dyer, Louise Hay, even yoga people like Sean Korn. Who else would I listen to? Dr. Mario Martinez, Dr. Christiane Northrup, just anything I can get my ears on. And it was just, I knew that it made me feel better. And then I grew into learning meditation, and I would take note of what I was thinking in the day. I'm a journaler. I've been a journaler since I was
That's a good thing.
Early, since my sophomore year of high school.
Wow.
It was it was required in my English class.
Okay.
And he would make us, this is a really great technique, by the way. He would make us write this down. He would say, come into the classroom, and instead of chatting before the bell rings, we had to come in, sit down, start writing until he was ready to start class. And we would be like, well, we don't know what to write. He said, good, just keep writing. I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. I don't know what to write. And a lot of times I did that, but then things will come and you start writing these things. And it was a great way for me to get out feelings that I wasn't ready to tell people. And it is a great way for you to get in touch with yourself and see, what are you thinking?
Right.
What is your perception? And the one thing that I realized recently is what's as important about writing your journal is to go back and read it. Because it's interesting what comes out. A lot of times for me, I channel stuff and then I go back and I'm like, whoa. And there's been some situations where I said, oh, if I would have gone back and read this like a month ago, I might have made some different choices. So it's interesting to go back and really get to know yourself and not be afraid. I think a lot of people just want to keep barreling forward. And as we were talking about earlier, that our society right now is so busy and fast, which has a lot of advantages.
Sure.
And it also has some disadvantages where people don't even know what they feel anymore.
Right. And
that even rolls into, like what you said, rolls into food. People don't even know what they want to eat. They just go and they eat. They don't know when they're full. They don't know if they're eating for emotion or for hunger. So like you did the juice fast. Boca, and his approach is all about intermittent fasting. So you don't eat anything until noon as your first meal.
Right.
So from waking up till noon, a lot of people get really uncomfortable with the same thing that you were talking about. Like, well, what do I do?
Right, what do I do?
And then they find out they're actually more productive without having to sit down and be ruled by, it's time to eat, so we eat.
Right. Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. It's all about that mindset, right? It's all about being able also having someone to give you a different perspective, but you got to be open to receiving that different perspective and saying, you know what, maybe that works. Let's try it. Let's go. Let's do it. Let's see what it's like. If we like it, we continue. If we don't like it, we can do something else.
Yes, and about being uncomfortable, because in the beginning, when the food's taken away, like in the beginning of your fast, and you kept walking to the refrigerator. How did you feel?
Oh my God. Very, very confused, very hungry, very angry, very upset. All these emotions came out. But what kept me going was my mindset, was my desire, my passion, my why was so strong. Also that I put it out on social media and whatnot.
So you were accountable.
I had whoever was watching held me accountable.
Yep.
But my why was there, right? My why said, listen, you know, I before I went on vacation with my family, I was going to the gym every single day. We came back, have not yet been to the gym. Mm-hmm. You know, my mind isn't right yet, you know, and I've seen it. So I said, let me do this detox, let me cleanse, let me get the mind and the body moving correctly. And because I wanted to do something, I wanted to, you know, I had my why, and it was strong enough. It was strong enough to overcome all those negative thoughts that I had in my head, like, dude, what are you doing this for? What are you, crazy? You gotta come on. Yeah. Oh, the smell, your wife is cooking. We went out to a restaurant the other night. The food looked so good. But what's amazing is when you stick to it and you come out the other end,
yeah,
you're stronger for it, because you know you can say to yourself, wow, I accomplished that.
You built your confidence.
Right. Forget about the positive results of what the actual, you know, juice does and all that. The fact that I was able to conquer myself, to go and to set a goal and to accomplish it and to really physically see that happening, it does a lot for your psyche and for your mindset.
I think so. It gave you confidence, and you also kept your word. Mm-hmm. So you kept your word to yourself, which is always a confidence builder. And when we don't keep our word to ourselves, we secretly beat ourselves up a lot of times. Mm-hmm. So yeah, and it was great that you had accountability. You went public with it. So yeah, that took a lot of courage.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, what we're going to do is we're going to take a quick break. Mm-hmm. And then when we come back, we're going to talk about the different types of attitudes and mindset and whatnot, and the tools that we can, you know,
do right away,
that we can use, and also understanding where they come from, right? Because we need to understand where they come from so that we can work on changing them.
Yep.
Right. All right, travelers. So stay tuned. We'll be right back. And I'm here with Felice Minkin, and we're talking about mindset. We're talking about that thing that goes on in between your ears where nobody can hear except you. Right? Mm-hmm. What you say to yourself, all these thoughts, everything. You know, it's funny. You can kill yourself in the morning before you get out of bed, just with the thoughts that you have in your own head.
You can.
You know, and it's amazing, right? Where do these thoughts come from? Why are they there? Can you help us?
I know why they're there. You know, we're built that way as human beings. It actually was a way to keep us safe when we were out hunting lions and tigers and bears and whatnot, because we had to be on alert in order to be safe. But it doesn't work anymore because
we don't have to be alert.
Yeah, well, we have to be alert, but we don't have to be in our sympathetic nervous system.
Okay.
Which is, you know, fight, flight, freeze.
Uh-huh.
And so as humans, we're like Velcro to worry and anxiety, and we're like a duck's back to like anything good happens. Like, oh yeah, that's good. On to the next goal.
Right.
And so we get to flip it around and start to, like what we were just talking about, find gratitude for things. Mm-hmm. So really absorb and feel good about your successes, the things that you have in your life. And I'm finding that the best times to pay attention to this, whether it's your gratitude or your affirmation, meaning repeating a mantra or repeating an intention for your day. Words have vibration just like sound does and color does.
Sure.
And so it's interesting that even the way you say it and the words that you say, the way you said it, the words kind of rhyme and it feels good.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely. And I'll tell you, you know, when it's funny because we were talking about it on the break now, how to get into that, you know, state of mind, right? I like to move. I like to shake. I've learned that we vibrate on different frequencies.
Yeah.
Right. Positive energy vibrates higher, negative lower, and whatnot. So when I was, you know, I want to take it quickly and just translate it to business as well. Mm-hmm. So before I went this weekend to Greensboro to meet a couple of investors, right, to schmooze and to network and to build a relationship with them. I was here in my office, jumping up and down. I was in the parking lot. I was, what do we say, psyching myself out?
Mm-hmm.
But I was getting into that mindset. I was tapping into that energy, into that frequency of, you know what, this is what I do. This is what I'm doing. I am successful. They're going to love it. And I'm painting the picture to the universe of how things should go. All right. And I'm building it up, and then I'm letting it go and say, okay, that's what it's going to happen, right? These guys are going to do this. They're going to be like this. It's going to be X, Y, and Z, and kind of painting the future as how I want it to be.
Yes.
So that's how it should unfold.
Well, you're creating the feeling.
Right.
So you're in the feeling already, which is the vibration.
Mm-hmm.
So then it's already happened because time is not real.
That's exactly.
So it's already happened because you set the intention.
That's right.
Yeah.
Right. The universe has to now create the movie that After, yeah. Right? Yeah. We set the script. Mm-hmm. Now they're just...
And we let it go. Let it blow in the wind. I think that's one of the biggest challenges that we have as humans is to trust that when you set the intention and let it go and trust that it's happening. Okay. And I think that's one of the things that's taken a lot of practice is to do that. But when you do it with small things, you could do it with like, I'm going to find a parking spot, or I found a parking spot right away. That's right. And say it in the past tense or as it's happening before you see it. Yep. And just know like it's already happened.
I do that when I drive to Miami. Before I drive to Miami, I'm like, okay, it's going to be a smooth drive. Right. No one's going to cut me off. It's going to be no traffic. And when I get there, I'm going to find parking immediately in front so it's easy for me to get out. And I just set it out and there it goes. Yeah. Right? Yeah. A lot of people think that we're crazy when we do that.
That's okay. They can think that. We're in the 2%, and we're sharing so that more and more people could find peace and ways to create for themselves.
That's right.
You know, I get in the car and I say thank you for getting me there quickly, safely, easily, and pleasantly.
What does gratitude do to the mind, to the energy? How does that affect us when we have gratitude or when we're grateful? Gratitude is one of the most powerful ways to shift and to stay in a mindset that is of creation. Okay. And the brain does not know what's real and what's not real. Amazing. So that's why you talk about these things in the present moment. I am grateful for, and even when I lead my meditations, I talk about letting go of something and then bringing in something. But before we fully let go of something, we get to be grateful for it. Right. We get to find something to appreciate about it, even if it's just something that we've learned. You've learned how you're more resilient, or more of some. You're clear in what you want, clear in what you don't want. But there's something to be grateful for even the things that hurt, or even the things that you're ready to let go of. Right. You know, we got to be grateful for playing the asshole sometimes. Yeah. Right? Sometimes the universe puts us in a situation where, oops, I was the ass at that moment, right? And then what did you learn? Right. Or what about when somebody's been the asshole to you? And or in my case, part of my work has been opening up my throat chakra. So coming from the background that I came from, so there have been times where I had wished I had said certain things, and then I get to be grateful for that, or actually any situation. Well, I get to be grateful for any situation that I'm in that might cause me joy, and any situation that I'm in that might cause me pain, because I'm always in the mindset of learning and saying, okay, what did I learn from this? What worked? What didn't work? Okay, move on. Right. And when you're grateful for something, it gives it more power. And when you're even grateful for something that's painful, it's a more complete way of letting something go, so that it doesn't come back to you and repeat in a different face, in a different place. Right. So yeah. Okay. So let's talk for a few minutes on how we can actually take this philosophy and transfer it into business, into work, into personal life, right? Yeah. So, when someone's going in for an interview, right? They've got their resume, they're nervous. Is there something that they can do to boost their confidence? Is there something that they can do to set themselves up for success rather than failure? Yeah, there's two things that come to my mind. The first one is Amy Cuddy and the power positions.
Have you heard of those?
No, but it sounds like a little tantric book.
Well, that's a whole nother subject. That's the next radio show. But she has positions that have actually been studied by science to increase testosterone in your body with just holding the posture for 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
So like the Wonder Woman posture, your hands are on your hips and you stand really tall. You can see how you start to feel more confident.
Sure, boom.
Hold it for 2 minutes. It increases your testosterone, which is your power. It's a powerful position, and chakra-wise, it opens up your solar plexus, and that's your personal power. Or there's another one where you stand with your arms out and your legs out, kind of the same way. There's a few other ones that you can look up, putting your feet up on the desk and hands behind your head. All of these powerful positions that can immediately change your feeling of confidence biologically.
Okay.
The opposite would be like kind of hovering in like this. You see somebody who's not confident, they close in. So that would be the opposite. So open up. And as far as setting yourself, just like that. And also what I like to do in any important conversation, whether it's a personal one or an interview, is I like to imagine it before I walk in. And then I like to see myself how I felt at the end. So how it feels at the end. So I'm letting go of control over the how and what happens in between that I walk in the door and I leave. But I imagine how I want to feel when I leave. And I think that's nice because it's a vibration, like what we were saying. It's a way of connecting and showing your brain, I feel confident, I feel happy, I feel connected, and I feel successful, whatever those are.
Wow. So let's review. So before going into an interview, right? Before you leave the house, right? Before you go for any type of meeting, you're talking to investors, you want to talk to a broker, whatever that meeting is, stand.
2 minutes.
Do that
power position.
That Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman power position.
Yes.
You know, you're a superhero, right?
Yes.
And what do I say? Do I have to say
You don't even have to say anything, but that is a good place to stand there like that and then imagine how you're going to feel when it's done, when you get back in the car.
Right.
So you do that at the same time. Set the timer on your phone so you don't have to be like, is it 2 minutes? And you kind of interrupt the flow and just kind of stand there like that. And breathing is just as important as gratitude, maybe more. Breathing deeply, because when we get nervous, our voices get higher, we close the breath, and breath is life. Breath is chi, breath is prana. Breath is where you can flow and connect to your creativity, connect to a higher source if you believe in one, but you connect to yourself, connect through nature. And biologically, that's been studied for those people that are more science-based. Breathing deeply gets you into your parasympathetic nervous system, which is your rest and digest, which is the opposite of fight, flight, freeze.
Right.
So we have power over our biology, even down to raising our testosterone.
That's right. That's awesome. Yeah, and talk about breathing. Breathing is so important. I do a talk and I do a seminar. Breathe to succeed. Right.
Yeah.
Because there is, when we're anxious and we don't take care of our breath, we go into a situation and we're anxious and we're not completely squared away, balanced, focused, centered. We're not connected to our higher self, so we can't perform correctly. So success will elude us when we're in relationships and we're getting heated, in a heated conversation, an argument, kids, spouses, whatever it is. It's the breath, right? When you talk to people who smoke, whenever I smoke a cigarette, for some reason, I feel very relaxed. And let me tell you, it's not the nicotine or the tar or the increased heart rate that's relaxing people. It's the deep breaths that they're taking, albeit they're inhaling toxins, but they're inhaling a deep breath that goes all the way down.
Filling the whole lung with all that pollution.
Right.
I love that you're the only other person in the world that I've ever heard thinks about that, because I used to feel the same way, especially in corporate world. So I would go outside to breathe and get in some sun on a short break, and everybody else would be, not everybody, but most people would be lined up against the wall with their cigarettes. And I'm like, we could just do this without spending $4 on a pack of cigarettes and toxifying your body. So but that's from awareness and training. We weren't necessarily taught that as little kids, except maybe, take a deep breath. But but the practice of breathing deeply, consciously, it also brings you back into your body.
Yes.
Because we get into that merry-go-round in our head, which can be a very dangerous place to be. It helps us get us grounded right back into the floor.
Oh, absolutely.
Right back into our body.
I have a great breathing technique for myself that I'll breathe in 4, I can hold for 5, and breathe out for 6, and then I can just expand it and expand it and expand it.
Great one.
When I was traveling, when I was an actual traveler, and I traveled the world for many years, I was living in India for a year, and we were working on breathing. I did Vipassana meditation, which is a 10-day silent meditation retreat where you just focus on the breath, going in and out, and the sensations, and the expansion of the space between thoughts.
Yes.
And I learned how in this society that we live in, the faster it gets, the faster our thoughts happen, right? We have to keep up. The mind has to keep up. And what I found also with a lot of the anxiety that people have here is that the West believes that meditation is silencing the mind.
Right, and that's not correct.
How the hell am I going to quiet this thing, right?
I can't do it. I'm not doing it right.
I'm not doing it right. But what I learned, and you're the expert here, but what I learned was that it's not quieting the mind, but it's expanding the spaces between the thoughts.
And the Buddhist tradition talks about that it's observing the mind.
Mm-hmm.
So even if the whole time you sit, whether it's 5, 10, 15, however many minutes you sit, if that meditation that day is all these different thoughts, but you're sitting and watching it, you become the observer, that's meditation too.
Exactly.
And sometimes you might get quiet. Sometimes you get that space between thoughts. Sometimes other magical things happen.
It's incredible.
But they're all considered meditation.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like when people say, I can't do yoga because I can't touch my toes. My answer is always, if you can breathe, you can do yoga.
Right.
It's the moving, it's the being present. With meditation, it's the observing your mind. It's giving yourself that space and time to stop.
Right.
So
I like the way Osho once said it. When he talks about meditation, it's where the dancer becomes the dance. Right.
That's beautiful.
It's where the artist, the painter, becomes the brush and the paint and the strokes on the canvas. It's where you lose your mind and yourself, and you become what you are doing. So if you are breathing, you're becoming the breath.
Yes.
You're going into your body. You're going into every cell. And if you can visualize it, it's even better. It's even stronger, right? And then you go into every cell and you can fix, you can repair, you can, do whatever you want with it. And that's where the strength comes into it.
Yeah, it's pure presence is what you're describing. And people watching might remember a time where you lost track of time doing something that you love. That's what we're talking about.
Right.
Whether it's writing a report, maybe that's something you love to do, or gardening, or going for a run, or whatever it is. Meditation doesn't have to just be sitting and oming. It could be whatever it is that you get into inflow.
Right.
Pure presence.
When I was in India and I was in Osho's ashram, one of his things, or a big thing that he says, is that meditation is not sitting quietly. You've got the spinning meditation, you've got the Kundalini meditation, you've got all kinds of movement meditations. The point is to be present.
Yes.
To be present in the moment, in the here and now, right?
And then you're living meditation.
Right. And that's also a good way for getting that positive mindset.
Yes, because you can't be present and also have those thoughts in your... Well, that's not true, because you can. You can get present and go, oh, look what I'm thinking. And then it's up to us to make a choice to think something different.
But then aren't we moving out of the present? Out of the now when we start thinking of the mind? Because if we're focusing, let's say I'm focusing on writing a report, right, for my investors and whatnot, and that's what I'm focusing on. But then, and I'm also raising money for another deal. If I start thinking about that other deal and I get stressed out about that, and oh my God, what am I really doing? Will I really succeed? Will this go out? Blah blah blah.
Then you're not present to your report.
Right. I'm not present in the report.
And you're in the thoughts, but you're not being present with your thoughts. The thoughts are taking you for a wild ride like a wild horse. But once you become present, you go, oh, look where I went. Zip, and bring yourself back. Come back to the report. You could put that in a Tupperware. I'll come back to that in 30 minutes or whatever. And then that's your presence where you're coming back. Like when it goes wild horse, I don't consider that present. I consider that the monkey mind.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now you mentioned something earlier also about when we have these thoughts and we observe them, we shouldn't
judge them.
And why? What do you mean by
don't shit all over yourself? I love that one. Because let's say you are doing the report and then your mind went to the other deal. If you go back and say, oh, I'm such a dumbass, I can't believe I did that. Right. No change will come from berating yourself or a child. You get to treat yourself. I believe in inner child work, and you get to treat yourself the same way you would speak to a 3-year-old. You would not get mad at them for having a thought process. You come back with love and you say, okay, I deal with that with people with emotional eating, and they're like, oh, I'm doing so well, and oh, now I just gained 5 pounds because I had a stressful week, and I just totally, and it's one of those things where you get to look at when your mind goes off and say, okay, well, what's happening here, and get curious and start to look at these symptoms, is what I would like to call it, and say, okay, what is this here to teach me? What is calling out for healing? Because a lot of times emotional eating came from when we were a little kid, or when we had stress or trauma or abuse or whatever it is. So something is looking to get healed. So we get to be kind to ourselves, even if it's something that we've been working on, we've been doing well, we took a step back. Okay, beating ourselves up, just where does that get you?
It removes us from here and now.
Yeah.
Right?
And then it's actually a way of procrastinating too.
Absolutely. It's a way of procrastinating. It's a way of getting out of things. It's a way of, it's a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a way of not taking responsibility for what's happening now. And so we were talking about, like you say, you might, pound on your chest.
I'm unstoppable.
Yeah, I have a playlist. I have a dance party playlist. I may take one song and put everything down and just dance for 3 minutes.
Right.
If there's something really that makes you angry, like punching a pillow and just getting it out, screaming in the pillow, and honoring whatever emotions come up. It's okay to be angry.
Sure, absolutely. It's okay. You got to let go and not judge it, right? I look at this stuff like clouds in the sky.
Yeah, let it move through.
Clouds come, they dump on you, but then they go.
Yeah.
Right? And when they're dumping on us, we're like, dude, look outside. It's raining. It's pissing. Oh, my God, blah, 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 blah. We don't sit there and go, oh, wow, look, it's horrible. Oh, my God, my life sucks. It's raining. I live where it's raining.
It's never going to end.
Right.
Yeah.
We look at it. Okay, it's raining, especially here in Florida. We have the beauty of like, in 10 minutes it'll be gone. And the clouds disappear, and then the sun shines through again. But if we continue moving with the clouds, if we're attached to the clouds, if we judge the clouds, we will never see the sunlight. We won't see the blue sky.
That's true. And when you say that, it made my mind go right into how humans are with change, and the law of attachment, and how we get so attached to things and the way we think things should be, instead of saying, okay, that's not really what I planned, but okay, as soon as we allow it, it takes the stress off of it. And that's been an interesting one for to really let go of. And right now, people are going through a lot of things spiritually, and so there's been a lot of letting go. There's been a lot of endings on lots of different levels, and what causes the most pain is when we fight against what's actually happening. So, and then that comes to back to the whole thing about being present. So when we spend time saying it shouldn't be this way, I can't believe this happened, we're not accepting what actually happened.
Right.
And it is a natural process, like even of death or a breakup, where at first there's a resistance. It shouldn't have happened. What could I have done differently? But then once you get to be present with it, and you get to look at what happened and all the different angles, you go, okay, and you start to learn. If you're in the mindset of learning.
Right. Because
there are people that actually hold on to trauma their whole lives, and then it turns into disease, whether it's cancer or other things.
Sure. Trauma, the trauma and all that other negativity in people's lives, and it translates into their relationships, their family relationships, their spousal relationships. There are people walking around going, I'm 45, 50 years old, I'm single, this is not what I planned, right? How did this happen?
And then you ask them about their emotions, they're like, I'm fine.
Right.
I'm fine. Nobody wants, that type of person doesn't want to dig in and see, hey, where have I created this?
So so we figured out, we got another 5-6 minutes here to the show, and it's been awesome. Thank you. What kind of tools are there when people are, first we said we have to be aware.
Be aware first.
We have to understand that we have these thoughts.
Have these thoughts. Don't beat yourself up for it.
What kind of tools are there?
Breath is number one.
Right.
Because typically if you get caught up in that moment, a lot of times the only thing you can remember is a breath. And that's okay. So breath, feel your feet on the floor, get into your body, hands on your lap, feel your fingers, whatever, get into your body and breathe. In the moment, you might not be able to think of what you're grateful for, but if you can, sometimes I get caught off in the room like, thank you. And I just kind of make it like, I just kind of push it out to, just be grateful. And then, of course, every time you get into your body, you're able to shift the emotions. So that's why I'm a big proponent of taking a cold shower, jumping in, and letting that out, a dance party break, put on your favorite music and dance it out, or punch something, take a kickboxing class. And then, of course, after you move your body, then you could sit into a meditation. And meditation could mean sitting and breathing for 1 minute, hands on your belly, and just feel your belly get big and small. Just breathe really deep. Doesn't have to be anything fancy.
Right. So simple.
Simple things.
So simple. We don't need to spend money on memberships and gyms. We don't have to go out and buy equipment. You can do this while you're driving. You can do this while you're at home. You can do this while you're listening to a podcast, while you're cooking. While you're working. Right? While you're working.
Say thank you when you send an email. Like, thank you for having this job. Thank you for this great communication, this great deal. Thank you, and hit send. And, and then, community is important too. So find your clergyman, find your neighbor or a very trusted, it has to be somebody trusted, friend or family member, a coach, a class, whatever, a podcast, whatever it is, a radio show, that's somewhere where you could feel connected. I mean, there's so many times where I felt like Wayne Dyer was my dad.
Absolutely. Many times, right? Many times. Yeah, it's we have to understand that we all get into that situation, right? We all get into our minds. We all have our, our movies that we play over and over and over again.
Yeah.
The first thing to do is, like you said, is to become aware that, first of all, I have these movies, you have these movies, everybody has these movies.
You're not alone.
No one's alone, right?
Oh, wait, can I interrupt one thing?
Absolutely.
One of my favorite yoga teachers always says, no feeling is final. And I'm telling you, it's a lifesaver, especially when everything's up on the table, everything's on the wall, whatever. No feeling is final. It will change.
Absolutely. Hang in there, but we all go there. We all get discouraged, Even when you see people on social media and they're posting their awesome pictures and whatnot, even Donald Trump and what's his name, Tony Robbins and all, everybody has bad days. Everybody has negative thoughts. Everybody has all these different things, right? Where they came from, how they got in there, you know what? In my mind, I don't care, right? They're there. How do I deal with them? How do I change them? How do I move forward? Breathing, shaking, moving, right? Vibrating, getting that vibration out. It's all there. Very, very simple. Music, things to uplift your spirits, right? Affirmations, reading positive books, listening to somebody telling you you're awesome. That could be great, right?
Or record it yourself. It's actually really powerful. Most of us have, these smartphones with a recording thing, and say something about yourself, that you're amazing, you're beautiful, you're abundant, and listen to it right before bed or in the morning. Hearing your affirmations in your own voice is also really powerful.
It's amazing. Awesome. Felice, how can people find you?
You can find me on byfelice.com on my website. You can find me at By Felice Wellness on Facebook, or just Felice Minkin on Facebook.
Awesome. And travelers, and November 2nd, I'm having a mastermind group here in Boca, November 2nd. I've got industry leaders, community leaders, I've got life coaches and whatnot. I'd like to put out an invite to you. It's going to be a lot of real estate investors that are going to come and talk, but I'm also bringing a panel of people that can help create, a mastermind is where 2 or more people get together and you figure out what's working in business, personal, spiritual, and then you have the challenges in those different areas, and when 2 or more people can work on finding solutions, some incredible things happen.
So much more powerful.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So I'm building this mastermind November 2nd.
Okay.
I'd love for you to come and join us.
Thank you.
Travelers, go to ttimastermind.eventbrite.com. That's TTI for the traveling investor. Mastermind.eventbrite.com. It's only $97. And my guarantee to you, if you walk out of that mastermind without one idea that can take your business, personal, financial, spiritual life to the next level, I'll give you your $97 back. It's simple. It's that easy. You've got nothing to lose, everything to gain. And we're going to have people like Felice at the mastermind talking, saying, hey, you know what? You shouldn't say that. You should talk like this. Maybe you have this idea. Maybe this is what's blocking you. Maybe this is try this. All these kind of things. Imagine where you will be, where your business will be, where your finances will be, your spiritual life, your inner life, your relationships, how better it will be when you've got people like Felice working on all your obstacles in those different areas. So go to TTI Master. I will see you somewhere on Spaceship Earth next week. Take care. Peace out. We love you.